Imagine taking an ordinary person from the ancient world and handing them a modern energy drink. A cold aluminum can, bright colors, lightning bolts, a completely insane flavor name like Cosmic Nuclear Berry. They look at the can, they shake it, they ask, "What is this?" You tell them, "It gives you energy." Already, we have a problem. Because to an ancient person, a mysterious potion that makes you feel less tired sounds less like a beverage and more like medicine, magic, or something a soldier drinks before battle. Then they take a sip. Carbonation hits. Extremely concentrated sweetness. Artificial fruit flavor. Cold enough to hurt their teeth. And a few minutes later, they feel noticeably more awake. They might look at the can again and ask, "So, which god is in this?" And honestly, explaining caffeine might not make things less suspicious. Energy drinks are incredibly modern objects, but the human desire behind them is ancient. People have always wanted something that lets them keep going when the body says, "No, go to sleep." The strange thing is that modern civilization finally became extremely good at making those drinks. Maybe too good. Let's start with the can itself. Before the ancient person even tastes the drink, the packaging would be bizarre. A perfectly smooth metal cylinder, extremely thin, almost impossibly light, covered in bright printed colors. You pull a tiny metal tab, and somehow the entire container opens. No knife, no cork, no clay stopper, no breaking a seal, just click. An ancient metal worker might completely ignore the beverage and spend the next hour examining the aluminum can. They would probably ask how much the container costs. And then you would explain that we manufacture billions of things like this and regularly throw them away. Now they think we are insane. Then they discover the drink is cold. Not cool because it has been sitting in a cellar, actually refrigerated. Ancient people had ways to cool things. Ice and snow could be collected and stored in some places. Wealthy people could enjoy chilled foods and drinks under certain conditions. But an ordinary person casually pulling an ice-cold beverage from a glowing refrigerator in the middle of summer? That is a different level. You explain, "We have a machine that creates cold." That alone could be the entire video. But somehow, the strange glowing potion inside the can is even more interesting. Then comes carbonation. They take one sip and immediately stop. Because the liquid bites back. Modern people are so familiar with carbonated drinks that we forget how weird carbonation feels. You are drinking liquid filled with tiny bubbles of gas. It fizzes, it burns slightly, it makes noise, it shoots foam out of the container if you shake it. To someone unfamiliar with modern soda, the drink might genuinely seem alive. They might assume it is fermenting. And ancient people absolutely understood fermentation. Beer and wine were ancient, so they may initially think, "Oh, this must be some kind of strange beer." Then you tell them there is no alcohol. Now we are back to magic. Then they taste the sweetness. This is where the ancient person starts realizing something is wrong with modern humanity. Because many modern energy drinks are intensely sweet. Ancient people certainly enjoyed sweet foods, honey, dates, fruit, syrups. Different cultures had different sources of sweetness. Humans did not suddenly discover that sugar tastes good in 1997. But the modern ability to produce huge amounts of concentrated sweetness cheaply would be extraordinary. Imagine somebody from an ancient farming community tasting a drink that seems sweeter than most desserts they encounter, and then learning this is not a special festival drink, not medicine, not a royal luxury, not a religious offering. Some guy buys 3 of them at a gas station because he has a night shift. Ancient person, you drink this every day? Modern person, sometimes. Ancient person, why? Modern person, I have work. And now we arrive at the part that might genuinely disturb them. Why do modern people need energy drinks? Because we are tired. Okay, then sleep. Apparently not. We have work, school, driving, gaming, studying, night shifts, gym sessions, deadlines, long commutes, parties. And sometimes we are simply addicted to being awake. Imagine explaining this to someone whose daily schedule was heavily shaped by sunlight. For much of human history, darkness changed what you could realistically do. Artificial lighting existed, of course. Lamps, candles, torches, fire. But night was expensive to illuminate. Modern people defeated that problem. We filled buildings with artificial daylight. Then we discovered something strange. Once darkness could no longer force us to stop working, sometimes we simply stopped stopping. That might be the real story of the energy drink. It is not just a beverage. It is a tiny aluminum monument to humanity refusing to go to bed. An ancient farmer might find this completely backwards. He wakes around sunrise, works, gets tired, eventually the sun disappears. The body says, sleep. The world gets dark. Reasonable system. Modern person wakes up tired, drinks caffeine, works under artificial lights, gets tired again, drinks more caffeine, stares into another artificial light, then complains that they cannot sleep. An ancient philosopher would have a field day. He might ask, "You invented a potion because you are tired?" Yes. Then why not sleep? Because I have things to do. So you drink the potion? Yes. Then what happens? Sometimes I cannot sleep later. Ancient philosopher. And then? Sometimes I need another potion tomorrow. The philosopher slowly walks away. But the concept of a stimulant itself would not necessarily be incomprehensible. Different peoples throughout history used naturally occurring substances that could make people feel more alert, focused, or energetic. Humans have experimented with plants for a very long time. Tea has an ancient history in China. Cacao-containing drinks existed in ancient Mesoamerica. Coca leaves have a long history of traditional use in the Andes. Other plants were valued for perceived stimulating effects in different cultures. So the idea that you can consume something and feel more awake? Ancient people could understand that. What would shock them is how industrialized we made it. We took stimulating chemicals, sweeteners, flavorings, acids, vitamins, carbonated water, bright packaging, mass production, global distribution, and turned the whole thing into something you can buy beside beef jerky at 2 in the morning. That is a level of efficiency no ancient herbalist was prepared for. Then you explain caffeine. You say, there is a chemical in the drink that makes your brain feel less tired. The ancient person asks, does it give you new energy? Not exactly. So the tiredness disappears? Not exactly. Then what happens? Well, you feel less tired for a while. Ancient person. So it lies to your body. That is not a scientifically perfect explanation, but emotionally, they are getting dangerously close. And that would make energy drinks seem almost like a trickster potion. The body says, I am exhausted. The drink says, no, you're not. The body says, I really think I am. Drink. Look at these neon colors. You are ready. Then there is the branding. This might confuse ancient people more than the chemistry. Why is the beverage covered in flames? Why is there a skull on it? Why is there a monster claw? Why does the name sound like a military operation? Why does the can look like it contains a substance that should require government clearance? Modern beverage companies sometimes market energy drinks using imagery of speed, danger, power, aggression, gaming, extreme sports, racing, electricity, monsters, explosions, and things that generally suggest this liquid may allow you to fight the sun. Ancient warriors might absolutely love this. Imagine a Roman soldier seeing a black can covered in lightning. He asks, what does it do? Makes you feel more awake. He drinks it. 20 minutes later, he feels more alert. Congratulations, you have invented the world's easiest military marketing campaign. Every legionnaire wants one. Someone paints Jupiter on the can. Sales explode. But ancient physicians might be considerably more suspicious, because ancient medicine was obviously very different from modern medicine, but physicians still paid attention to diet, sleep, behavior, and how substances affected the body. Then, this strange traveler from the future arrives, drinking a fluorescent liquid because they slept 4 hours. The physician asks, "Why are you exhausted?" "I stayed awake watching videos." What is a video? We do not have time for that. The physician sees the person drink another energy drink. Their heart feels faster. They become restless. Now he is taking notes. Then you explain that some people mix energy drinks with alcohol. Ancient physician puts the notes down. He has heard enough. Ancient philosophers would probably turn energy drinks into a moral metaphor almost immediately. The Stoics might ask whether needing constant stimulation means you have lost control over your habits. Epicureans might wonder why your civilization created enormous technological abundance but somehow made everyone too busy to rest. Diogenes would absolutely mock us. You show him a $6 energy drink. You explain, "This gives me energy." He says, "Water is free." You explain caffeine. He tells you to sleep. Conversation over. Then there is the gym. Imagine bringing an ancient athlete into a modern gym. Already bizarre. People intentionally lifting heavy objects, then putting them back exactly where they found them. Running without going anywhere. Cycling without traveling. Climbing stairs that never reach another floor. An ancient person might spend 20 minutes trying to figure out what punishment everyone is serving. Then someone walks in holding a giant energy drink. They drink it specifically so they can exercise harder. Now, this person is deeply confused. You have too much food? Yes. So you intentionally lift weights because your normal life does not require enough physical activity? Yes. But you are too tired to do the unnecessary physical activity. Sometimes. So you drink the potion. Correct. Ancient philosopher, your civilization is magnificent. Pause. And completely insane. The gamer energy drink connection would be even harder to explain. Imagine an ancient person seeing someone sit in a chair for 6 hours. The person barely moves, but inside a screen, their character is sprinting, fighting, building, flying, dying, respawning. The player takes a giant sip of energy drink. Ancient observer asks, "Why does he need energy? He is sitting down." That is a devastating question. Do not answer it. But there is another side to this. Ancient people might be impressed that we can manipulate alertness so reliably. Imagine being a night watchman, a sailor, a soldier, a messenger, someone traveling long distances, someone who needs to remain awake during an emergency. A drink that reliably helps increase alertness could feel extremely useful. Humans have always had situations where being awake matters. The difference is that modern society took something potentially useful for exceptional circumstances and sometimes turned it into breakfast. That might be what ancient people find strangest. Not that the drink exists, that the drink is normal. The gas station refrigerator is full of them. Blue one, red one, green one, sugar-free one, coffee-flavored one, fruit-flavored one. One with enough graphic design to look like it was manufactured by a wizard. Entire shelves dedicated to different ways of saying, "Please remain conscious." Imagine an ancient merchant seeing that. They might think modern people must perform unbelievably difficult physical labor. Why else would an entire civilization require this many stamina potions? Then the merchant follows a customer. The customer buys an energy drink, gets into a car, drives to an office, sits in a chair, answers emails. Ancient merchant. Oh, this is spiritual exhaustion. That might actually be the most interesting part. Energy drinks say something about what modern people value: speed, productivity, attention, performance, doing more, staying awake longer, squeezing another hour out of the day. The ancient world absolutely had ambitious people. Merchants worked, farmers worked, soldiers worked, laborers worked. Slaves were often subjected to brutal workloads. Ancient life was not some peaceful vacation where everyone watched sunsets and discussed philosophy. But modern technology created the possibility of being productive almost constantly. There is always light, always communication, always something to watch, always something to buy, always someone who can reach you, always another shift, another assignment, another game, another notification, another episode. The energy drink fits perfectly into that world. It says, "You do not have to stop yet." And ancient people might ask whether that is actually a gift. Then there is the ingredient list. You turn the can around. The ancient person sees a wall of tiny writing. They cannot read the language, so you explain. Caffeine, sweeteners, acids, flavorings, vitamins, other ingredients. The ancient herbalist asks, where did these plants grow? Some of them did not come directly from a plant in the form you're drinking. What do you mean? Factory. There is that word again. Factories would haunt this entire conversation. The drink exists because modern civilization can isolate substances, manufacture ingredients, transport materials, purify water, produce aluminum, print containers, refrigerate products, ship them thousands of miles, and sell them for a few dollars. An energy drink is actually an incredibly complicated object pretending to be an incredibly stupid object. It looks like funny liquid make awake. Behind it is chemistry, industrial agriculture, mining, metallurgy, electricity, refrigeration, transportation, marketing, and a global economy. An ancient person might eventually stop being impressed by the caffeine and start being impressed that the can exists at all. Then they discover sugar-free energy drinks. This might be genuinely difficult. It tastes sweet, yes, but there is little or no sugar? Correct. How? Chemistry. Ancient person. There is that word again. Then they discover powdered energy drinks. Now the potion comes as dust. You mix it with water yourself. Ancient apothecary. Finally, something about this makes sense. Then you show them an energy shot, a tiny bottle containing the same basic promise. Now even the apothecary is uncomfortable. The strangest reaction might come from an ancient king, because kings had access to luxuries most ordinary people did not. Imported foods, spices, wine, servants, rare goods. Then he learns that this brightly flavored stimulating drink is not reserved for royalty. A construction worker has one. A teenager has one. A cashier has one. A college student has 4 cans under their desk. A king might look around modern society and conclude that everyone is unimaginably wealthy. Then he sees the college student's bank account. Now he is confused again. That is one of the repeating themes when ancient people encounter modern life. We have access to things ancient rulers could not imagine. Cold drinks on demand, fruit from across the planet, artificial lighting, instant communication, modern medicine, climate-controlled buildings, and somehow we still wake up exhausted on Monday. An ancient person might find that almost tragic. We conquered darkness, we conquered distance, we mechanized labor, we created machines that perform calculations instantly, And apparently our reward was needing a watermelon-flavored stimulant at 7:30 in the morning. Maybe they would think energy drinks represent everything impressive and ridiculous about modern civilization at once. They are technologically extraordinary, culturally normal, potentially useful, easy to overdo, wildly marketed, cheap enough for ordinary people, available almost everywhere, and designed to help humans ignore one of the oldest messages the body can send. I am tired. So what would ancient people actually think? A Roman soldier might think it is a battle potion. An ancient physician might tell you to stop drinking so many. A merchant would immediately want to sell it. A philosopher would use it as evidence that modern civilization has forgotten how to rest. An herbalist would want to know exactly what is inside. A king might assume it is some rare imported luxury. And a normal laborer? They might take another sip, feel the caffeine hit, look at you, and say, "Can I have another one?" Because no matter how ancient the person is, humans have always enjoyed discovering a new vice. And maybe that is why energy drinks would be easier for ancient people to understand than we think. The aluminum can is new. The carbonation is strange. The artificial flavor is strange. The refrigerator is practically magic. But the idea underneath it is incredibly old. Humans have always wanted more strength, more focus, more time. One more hour before exhaustion wins. We used to ask the gods for endurance. Now we buy it cold at a gas station. Ancient people might think energy drinks are potions, but the truly strange part would be learning why we need so many of them. Because after thousands of years of technological progress, humanity finally gained the power to stay awake long after sunset, and immediately used it to give itself more work.